Alright, so I went out and took a bunch of the log cuttings that I'd cut off in the yard up there toward the house, stacked them next to the fire ring to let them season, and I decided to wander on down the path and see what's going on. And I'll tell you what I'm seeing here. A ton of deer traffic. Go back to where I started noticing some stuff. For one thing, there's a lot of erosion going on, and a lot of the junk stuff that's been thrown down into this ravine over the years is being exposed. Part of that, I think, is because of all the heavy deer traffic. Basically, there's enough of it and enough rain that it is washing the soil away from the gravel underneath of it. You can see here there's a fresh washout. What we got here, some little tiny deer hoofs, some bigger deer hoofs, multiple directions. Possibly something else, but I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. Oh, this is the one. I think that might be deer, but it also could possibly be a swine. Really hoping not, because they wreck everything. They're hard to kill. Although on the upside, it's free pork. You can see it's been a fair bit of erosive change on this hill. You can also see that there are two game trails that have almost completely opened up due to extensive traffic, and I'll come back to those in a second because there's going to be some there's some markings there, so I'm going to be examining that for scratch and whatnot in a minute. But some just really positively huge hoof prints. There's some places that I've been advised by the living with a rescued bobcat since 2007, I think is the name, or 2017. Her bobcat Big, she's got a lot of experience with, and so she was answering some questions about the bobcat mating season and what to expect. But there's some places here with some of these, like you can see this double mark here, that this really doesn't, unless this is a deer with a bad hoof, that could be boar print. Like I said, there's a bit of it here. I've kind of altered the landscape myself when I cut down some of those trees. You can see here there's new game trail running straight up through there. You can see that they've started cutting the corner here from that one, running through there to get across, and at the same time this one here has been run all the way down and around. I believe this is deer. But you can see here how much of the gravel is being exposed under this mud. And that it's also, it's like light pea gravel and agate, so I don't even know what this landscape's going to look like in a few years, apparently. But you can see with the trees that I've downed, it's kind of changed where everybody's going through. That tree there was broken off already. And there was one up here a ways that was as well. Right here, this one was broken off at almost head height for me, at about head height. No idea what caused that. And you can see that there's been movement and activity around the areas with these fallen trees that I've eventually got to harvest. This comes back to that recurring dream that I've had about this hillside becoming deforested. There's a lot of these trees that are sick, and I'm trying to collect the wood and possibly use it for firewood rather than let it go to waste. There's a lot of ceramic bits, broken dishes in this pile. I mean, honestly, there seems to be more trash dump from more time periods here on this property than the property has actually had habitation and residence. It's kind of weird. You can see there a little better that game trail running through the areas that I went through and trimmed out. Some of the Siberian elms through here have remained traversed by other animals, and my lawn is full of spots where animals have denned. Like here, you can see that there's been a denning underneath. Could be deer. But I'm not seeing a lot of deer prints, so it could be something else. There's a few of them. But as you can see, there is a game trail, or two, or three. This Dutch elm's about on its final season. All right, as well as that, you got what I'm guessing is deer rub here. It's pretty high up. This is eye level for me, is right here. And down here a ways, there was one as well, I believe. And this, whatever was going through here, I mean, this is like, see, these broad hooves do not look like deer. And the height of the passage through here is not such that deer that size could comfortably get through. So I'm kind of wondering if that isn't some feral pig or something. But I've not seen them and I've not heard them. That would be something that could possibly have produced now you can see here, this is, I don't know, I can't tell what direction it is, but I don't think that is a deer hoof. That's the thing. So the scats that I've been finding that I thought were possibly from a bobcat, if they're not from that, they would probably be from a pig, maybe. See, there's some matting and denning down here, some broken branches that I had nothing to do with. Lots of slipping and sliding and coming on down here. And again, these are not quite the same. The hog hoof has, see, the deer hoof has a very close together, and the hog hoof has a little separation to it. The deer hoof has a distinct point inward that they do this, whereas the hog ones kind of do this. That's what I wonder if I'm seeing, because there's a lot of trampled around under here too. And then others just look like deer. There's some kind of rubbing here, obviously, right on the trail. I've not spotted any scat around here yet that might indicate what did it, and I'm not following that trail at this time. Not that I think there's really anything over there, but that big sycamore fell as well, like a month ago, and I don't know what's been habitating down here exactly. I just know that the ecological landscape is changing. What plants are being damaged and what trees are standing is changing, and it's affecting the soil erosion as well. You see there, that was the one I think I showed earlier, but from this angle you can see that there's the toe together design, but it doesn't really, I can't tell if that's got the rounded or the pointed. It's hard to tell. Almost looks like both. Now that, very clearly a deer. There's lots of other tramplings, like I said, around. You can see where something's been going all around. And I can't imagine a herd of deer doing that. That's not really how they seem to travel. They tend to do the, see, that's definitely a deer there. Some of these, like I said, don't really look like that. Ooh. Got a butterfly sunning itself, kind of drying out. There was a bright, creamy white, woolly caterpillar up in the yard, too. It was hanging out next to the tall cat grass, or the cattails, or whatever. No freaking clue what made that. So anyways, yeah, there's a lot of erosion going on down here with all this rain. A lot of hoof prints helping move the soil. The traffic does that. I mean, right here, I'm thinking this looks like a transmission. I have no idea how much. I mean, you can see here too, there's some block line. No freaking clue how much of a car might be buried under here that's just creating sinkhole underneath of empty spots. And you can see the rundown and the change in where the path runs. Quite a fair amount of traffic through here. Over here we've got some bark rubbing. Lots of fungus among us. But not a whole bunch of hoof prints either. So I'm going to go to the other side. Like I said, just fucking everybody else's trash for decades. According to the plat maps and county information, this has only had habitation since the early to mid 80s, and I refuse to believe that that much junk and trash was thrown down into this ravine in that amount of time. This has got to be some shit from the 50s on some of it. So we're going to look at this other way through here. Some of this looks like deer, some of this not so much. I'm also definitely trying to keep my eyes out for cat scratch of the big variety. Here you can see again there's something that is, unless there's a deer with a really bum foot, I have no idea what would be creating that kind of a print other than a large hog. I mean, I almost should be out here with my gun, but I need to get some kind of a sling set up because walking that, trying to run a camera or use a machete, I'm going to need to have that on my shoulder, so I'm just kind of taking the risk right now that there's nothing out here at this time of day. You can see here a lot of scrabbling to get up or down, but again, whatever this is does not appear to have your tight clove deer hoof on it. Quite a bit of traffic. And I'm still waiting to find some cat prints or something. Places where cat scratches occurred. Of course, it's tricky to find when everything's wet. But I mean, this would be a likely place to do it. That's a bone. Definitely deer going up through here too, though. Lots of browsing. they're just all scrabbling up the hills and down the hills. Kind of a rub. No deer scats. That's the other thing. I'm not seeing any deer scats here. So they're not pooping on this trail. They're just moving quickly through. And you can see there's some other small animals, game trail underneath the things. They don't always use the same trail for safety. See, something's clawed at the roots here. Places that there's been rubbing on the bark of these trees. You can see a pretty sizable path curving on that way. You can see it kind of goes around and down. You can see my red marker of toe strap up there. For reference, that's at the top of the old logging path over there from last year into the spring. But there are lots of these little torn down, broken pieces of cedars and whatnot. Ooh, look at that. That is some kind of slime mold growing copiously out of this oak. Puffball starting there. Been told that possibility I might see, if there are bobcats still around here, that they would have cubs with them born around May, which is just after I'd seen the scat. Creeks up a fair bit. Probably not near as much as it was yesterday. But it's just weird that like up here, like there's barely any actual like hoof prints or anything. Large fungus. Lots of fungus. Lots and lots of fungus. Head this way. So much fungus. Now here we have the woodfall that I kind of collected and moved around. And there's some game trail out up the hill here. It's almost certainly from deer though, because I've seen deer through there. Again, up here, not much in the way of deer hoof print or scat. Which makes you think something else is using this. And we know if there's acorns, there's squirrels, and if there's squirrels, there's almost certainly bobcats. The other thing is, as we get into the cedar grove, I think this kind of makes a better place for them to den up. Can't really tell. But once we get up to here, you can see that they are using this main path, and probably that other way down. I guess I'll head that way. Still got a few of them little ruderalis going on. Nothing major, nothing really flowering. Everything that flowers gets eaten. Here you can see more of that weird split hoof that doesn't seem to really be a deer. But I've directly, with my own eyes, spotted deer out here the last time I went tracking. Ooh, red kind, don't eat those. Yeah, I don't think these are deer. Don't know if it's better or worse to have a bobcat or feral pigs. I know they come through here, and oh yes, here we go. Shroomage. Lots of them down in there too. Fungus, fungus, fungus. Not even trying to figure out what's edible on these. Can't get morels to grow around here for anything, but we can get all these big old things. This one's a very frequent deer trail. You can see on this one that the height of it is enough that a large deer could actually get through there easily. So much fungus out here. And you can see back there is an area that I would expect would be maybe a cat den. Not sure how well I can even get close to it. But as you can see, there's kind of a there's some downage on the other side of that tree in the center frame. Perfect place to hole up and hide out that not a lot of anything else can get at and protect your babies. I could be wrong too. Video size is almost up. I don't think I'm going to record a second segment. This will be a while before this gets uploaded anyway, but yeah. Tell the difference between people that mow their lawn and people that don't. Here's where I found that raccoon skull. It's a large deer clump. Grazing on the tops of everything. Places where they nest up at night and sleep.